to see them all on this tour. But before we enter the park, a little bit of orientation, okay? Sequoia and Kings Canyon are technically separate national parks, but they border each other and are managed as one park. On our trip today, we'll also be driving through sections of the Sequoia National Forest and Sequoia National Monument. I know that sounds a little bit confusing. I promise these distinctions won't make a difference to our experience. Just think of this whole area as Sequoia Kings Canyon. All public lands set aside to protect this spectacular slice of the world. We are heading into Sequoia National Park first. It's far too wimpy to move those giant rocks, doesn't it? But could the river have had more water in the past? Absolutely. The mountains of the High Sierra have had many cycles of glaciers over the last 2.5 million years. When those glaciers melt, they release huge amounts of water, swelling rivers and allowing at least some of those boulders to be pushed along by the flow. As we drive along, there's farther down the road. There's a good selfie stop coming up at Tunnel Rock. Just for fun, the original road was built underneath a giant granitic boulder, creating a tunnel. Now you can no longer drive underneath the boulder, but you can definitely stop and take a photo of you and your crew standing beneath it. Oh, and word to the wise, poison oak, it grows in abundance around here. Don't go touching anything with 3 leaves, okay? All right, watch for the pullout on the right, just before the boulder. But that boulder will be over on the left. Include yucca. It's got those long, dagger-like waxy leaves. The combination of dry, rocky soils and frequent fires helps to prevent larger trees from moving into the chaparral. But if you look closely, you'll see that the type of plants changes where there's a little bit more water, like along streams and springs. Lions or wolverines are reclusive, and you're very unlikely to see them. The best chance to see predators is the same time as their prey are most active. Usually that's around sunrise and sunset. Who lived, I'm not kidding here, in a hollow sequoia log. Well, eventually he converted it into a small cabin in what is now the giant forest area. You may have been introduced to him up by Crescent Meadow. Anyway, in 1860, Tharp and his brother-in-law, John Swanson, were exploring the giant forest when Swanson injured his leg. Tharp brought him to the Potwisha settlement for treatment. In 1873, James Everton, shot by a shotgun snare set up for a bear, also recovered at the site with the help of the Sierra domes. Well, that and Half Dome in the same valley. Domes form when unfractured crystalline granitic rocks are exposed to the Earth's surface. Removal of rock from above, what is now the dome, reduces downward pressure, and that causes expansion within the granite. The expansion of rock leads to cracks, and that can lead to curved sheets of granite being cast off in scales, sheets, or plates. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but the take-home message is that because the Sierra Nevada are mostly granite, there are lots and lots of domes. All of that granite was emplaced about 100 million years ago. Do you remember anything about plate tectonics? Well, about for the overlook is on the other side of the tight hairpin turn that's coming up, and parking will be on our right. Well, that first stairway was installed in 1917, made of wood. By the late 1920s, that wooden stairway was in pretty bad shape and was replaced in 1931 by the present stairway, which was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. The new stairway was designed to be as unobtrusive as possible, following natural ledges and crevices in the rock. The Morro Rock Stairway is even listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Yeah, no kidding. If climbing Morro Rock, which some call the Stairway to Heaven, now I want to try it even more, you're going to want to have a moderate fitness level. For slopes out the driver's side of the car are even steeper through here. To our left and about 1,000 feet down, the marble fork of the Sequoia River is rapidly down-cutting through the granite and King's Terrain rocks, those schists that we saw back at Amphitheater Point. And we haven't seen any. We're approaching the road to Crystal Cave. Did anyone here know that there are at least 275 caves in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park and counting? No, not many people do. These are such interesting caves because they form in marble rather than regular limestone. Well, the marble used to be limestone, but it was metamorphosed when all the granitic magma that makes up the majority of the Sierra Nevada was in a half-mile walk right through the caverns. The tour is okay for all ages. You'll just want to bundle up. It can get as cool as 50 degrees Fahrenheit in there. If you're feeling a little bit bummed that we don't have tickets, there's another opportunity. If we're planning to drive up Kings Canyon, we might be able to get tickets for a tour of Boyden Cave in the Sequoia National Forest. It's still best to book those tours ahead of time online, but we might get lucky with some walk-up tickets at Boyden. All right, that turn to Crystal Cave is coming up on the left on one of the hairpin turns. It's going to take us a little over 20 minutes. Just up ahead, we'll see our first famous giant sequoias, the Four Guardsmen. These giants were named in 1919 when the road survey crew came through this area. The original road is the lower road, which used to be a two-way single-lane passage. Well, the new lane was added in 1939 to ease the traffic bottleneck. We'll be able to see them right from the car. What do you think? Could we ask for a better natural gateway to the giant forest?
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's cool. Huh. That is neat.
Tunnel log, gaze at many more sequoias, and visit the gorgeous Crescent Meadow, which John Muir himself named the gem of the Sierra. This can get to be a very busy area, but luckily park shuttles help prevent parking problems. We can just park at the Giant Forest Museum, then catch that free shuttle to Morro Rock and Crescent Meadow, the General Sherman Tree, and all the way up to Lodgepole Village. I know what you're thinking, and yes, I will be with you on the shuttle too. There are a If you don't have a lot of time for hiking today, but do want to get out, and after sitting through all those switchbacks, we can take the short out and back Beetle Rock Trail. Beetle Rock right, parking for the Giant Forest Museum will be coming up very soon on our left, and the turn for Crescent Meadow and Morro Rock will be on your right, if it's not a mandatory shuttle day. I sure hope you had a chance to check out the Giant Forest Museum. Can you believe that back in the late 1920s, this area was essentially a small town? After the General's Highway was completed to this point in 1926, development was rapid, and soon the Giant Forest Village had a large plaza, market, lunchroom, post office, photo studio, gas station, lodge, many guest cabins, and many, many visitors. Over the next 3 decades, scientists began noticing the impacts of extreme visitation on the sequoias of the giant forest. Fewer seedlings were germinating. Roads led to more runoff, and trampling by visitors led to soil compaction. They believed it was only a matter of time before one of the stressed giant sequoias would just topple on over and crush some hapless tourists. Because many of the village structures were on the National Register of Historic Places, others fought to preserve the village as it was. In the end, Sequoia National Park officials decided to raise the village and move infrastructure down the road to the nearby Lodgepole and Waxahachie villages. Demolition of the Giant Forest Village started in 1997 and was completed by 2005, leaving only the historic Giant Forest Market, which is now the museum. Coming right up is the most popular site in all of Sequoia National Park, the General Sherman tree. By volume, General Sherman is the world's largest living tree. The most giant of the giant sequoias stands 275 feet tall. That is roughly the height of a 22-story building. Sherman's diameter is over 36 feet, and it's estimated to be between 2,200 and 2,700 years old. Oh yeah, this behemoth is so large that when a branch fell from the tree in 2005, just the branch alone had a diameter larger than any tree east of the Mississippi. But if we're in need of disabled parking for the Sherman tree, watch for the signs coming up very soon. And for the rest of us, we will continue further along and turn right at Wolverton Road for regular parking. If the shuttles are operating, we can also catch that from the Lodgepole Visitor Center. The General Sherman tree isn't the only reason to turn on Wolverton Road up ahead. It also leads to several excellent hiking trails. For a short, easy, and beautiful hike, just take the Wolverton Meadow Loop right around the wetland at the end of the road. This is a top spot if you want to see wildflowers in the summer, as well as black bears in the spring and summer months. Other longer options range from 8 to 12 miles return, and any one of those choices will treat you well. just less than a minute, we'll reach the right turn to the General Sherman Tree parking area. You'll see a good sign. There's a large parking area, but this is the most popular attraction in Sequoia National Park. If the parking area is full, just head to the Giant Forest Museum or Lodgepole Campground and just catch the shuttle. If we don't turn, we'll be on our way to the Wolverton picnic area, along with some many great hiking trails that depart from there. Ooh, I bet you're getting excited to see General Sherman in person, aren't you? There are a lot of great places for photos, and once you get down there, you might just decide to hike a little further and take in the giants along the Congress Trail. I don't want you to rush this experience. It's amazing. Take it all in. The Sherman Tree Trail is a 1.2-mile out-and-back paved trail. It's considered an easy one, but you will walk downhill the entire way to the tree, which means a little bit of an uphill walk back to your vehicle. If you're getting a little bit puffed, take your time. Not to worry, the park has several benches along the path if you just want to. Eventually to the waterfall of Tacoma Canyon. Tacoma Falls is a jaw-dropping 1,200 feet high and is most impressive in early summer during snowmelt runoff. Looking closely, you'll observe the granite here is both grooved and polished by glaciers. Lodgepole Visitor Center and Village is coming up on the right. You'll find exhibits, a market, restaurant, post office. Making a stop up ahead at the Giant Forest Museum. This is a fascinating museum, and you'll learn all about sequoias and their ecosystem. There are hands-on exhibits, the park movie, and ranger programs too. This would also be the turnoff to Morrow Rock or Crescent Meadow Road, where we'll find lots more great stops. We'll definitely want to head down that way to climb Morrow Rock and drive under the famous tunnel log, gaze at many more sequoias, and visit the gorgeous Crescent Meadow, which John Muir himself named the Gem of the Sierra. This can get to be a very busy area, but luckily park shuttles help prevent parking problems. We could just park at the Giant Forest Museum, then catch that free shuttle to Morrow Rock and Crescent Meadow, the General Sherman Tree, and all the way up to Lodgepole Village. I know what you're thinking, and yes, I will be with you on the shuttle too. There are a ton of hiking trails in this area. I'll tell you about a few of my favorites in just a moment, but you can also check in with a ranger at the Giant Forest Museum for choices that would match your time and abilities. Big Trees Trail is pretty easy, it's flat, and it's paved. It is a 0.7-mile loop through giant sequoias around Round Meadow, one of the best sequoia habitats within the Giant Forest. Able-bodied visitors, you can park near the Giant Forest Museum for the just under 1.5 mile. Standing on top of the famous Morrow Rock is such an awesome thing to do. And the good news is, you can. The bad news is, you just have to hike up 350 stairs to get there. See, not too bad. If you're brave, the short but very steep trip will earn you some excellent 360-degree views across the park as you summit at 6,725 feet above sea level. That's something to brag about, isn't it? Good to have a story with your Instagram posts. And unlike most mountaintops, this one has a staircase. There are handrails on the stairway the whole way, even at the summit, so the route is pretty sturdy. There are some steep cliffs up there, though, so not the best hike for young kids. If climbing Morro Rock sounds something you'd like to try, and if you have the moderate level of fitness for it, I highly recommend this trip. We'll be turning left on Crescent Meadow Road, or we can take the shuttle from the Giant Forest Museum, which is coming up quickly. Just keep an eye out for parking and turning signs. Just up ahead, we'll see the last of the famous giant sequoias of the Giant Forest Grove, the Four Guardsmen. These giants were named in 1919 when the road survey crew came through this area. The original road is the lower road, which used to be a two-way single-lane passage. The new lane was added in 1939 to ease that bottleneck traffic. We'll be able to see them right from the car. And what a striking natural gateway to the giant forest, wouldn't you agree? We're going to see a road that turns off to the right on one of the hairpins just up ahead. And that is the road to Crystal Cave. It takes just a little over 20 minutes to reach the cave from there. If we drove together in Kings Canyon National Park, you may remember me saying that there are at least 275 caves in the two parks. In fact, maybe even more. These are such interesting cave opened in 1941. The thing is, you needed to buy tickets for the tour online at least 36 hours ago. If we didn't pre-purchase these tickets, there's not much reason to drive up that road. But if we did our planning and secured some tickets, this is going to be a winner. The Sequoia Parks Conservancy runs all the tours. You can expect a steep half-mile hike to the cave entrance, then a half-mile walk right through the caverns. The tour is okay for all ages. You'll just want to bundle up. It can get as cool as 50 degrees Fahrenheit in there. Now we're leaving the Goldilocks zone for giant sequoias, where the temperatures and soil moisture conditions are just right, and heading into the steep and much drier foothills. As the forest thins and opens up, you'll see the slopes are really steep out the passenger side of the car. To our right and about 1,000 feet down, the Marble Fork of Sequoia River is as we lose elevation driving towards the park exit and the town of Three Rivers. So does elevation really affect vegetation? Not really, but elevation does control a lot of environmental factors like temperature, the amount of precipitation, when it falls during the year, as well as how soils vary from place to place. The Sequoia Goldilocks zone, which is roughly 5,000 to 7,000 feet above sea level, is also the home of a mixed conifer forest with sugar pine. Those are the ones with the huge pine cones. You'll also find Jeffrey, lodgepole, and ponderosa pines, as well as white and red fir in there. Scattered through this mixed pine ecosystem, we saw groves of giant sequoia trees colonizing some of the richest soils in the Sierra Nevada. This is called a montane forest, where the clouds meet the mountains and precipitation amounts are fairly high. Much of the precipitation in the montane forest in the Sierra Nevada falls as snow that slowly melts in the spring. Right now, we're transitioning from the montane forest to the oak woodlands. Trees are getting shorter, soils are thinner, slopes are warmer, and we're losing the trees that need the most water and seeing more of the trees that can survive with less, like ponderosa pines. Vista Point Overlook is coming up. Instead of stopping here, though, I'm going to recommend that we keep heading down and stop at the Amphitheater Point viewpoint. It is even better than Vista Point. I'll let you know when we're getting close.
Wow, so much fun. Drive. Oh my god, look at this. It's fucking amazing. Can't wait to do this.
We still have a couple of minutes to go, but coming up is Amphitheater Point, and it is a great scenic overlook of the famous Morro Rock and other cool landscape features. Do not miss this stop, okay? Morro Rock is one of the signature attractions in Sequoia National Park. We ought to enjoy it from as many vantage points as we can. Morro Rock and many of the other peaks you can see from here are granite domes. Valley. Domes form when unfractured crystalline granitic rocks are exposed to the Earth's surface. Removal of rock from above, what is now the dome, reduces downward pressure, and that causes expansion within the granite. The expansion of rock leads to cracks, and that can lead to curved sheets of granite being cast off in scales, sheets, or plates. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but the take-home message is that because the Sierra Nevada are mostly granite, there are lots and lots of domes. All of that granite was emplaced about 100 million years ago. Do you remember anything about plate tectonics? Well, about 100 million years ago, an ocean plate was being subducted off the west coast of what is now California. That means it was being forced underneath the North American plate as the ocean plate dove into the Earth's mantle and heated. We saw granite if we went out to Morro Rock, and we'll see more down at Hospital Rock. But right here, we're driving through something just a little bit different. It's called King's Terrain, and these are metamorphic rocks called schist. They used to be sandstone and shale, which, if you remember your Geology 101, are sedimentary rocks. But all that heat coming from the magma that was flowing around underground changed them into something new. Schist. You'll get a good view of these rocks from Amphitheater Point. Just look for brown outcrops with nearly vertical beds. Our turnout for the overlook is just before the tight hairpin turn coming up. The parking area will be on the left, and it is a view definitely worth stopping for.
Okay.
Of us. Now the views are going to be amazing, but you do not want to stop on the side of the road. No, the road is too narrow and the slopes are too steep. I won't suggest another stop until we're almost at the river, okay? I'm sure you can tell that the trees are getting shorter as we come down in elevation, can't you? Plants get less precipitation, but maybe more importantly, it's getting even warmer. As annual temperatures rise and annual precipitation falls, trees become more drought-stressed and new species move in. Many of the oak trees in this part of the drive are called California black oak. This is a very important habitat and food source for a variety of animals. Owls, tree squirrels, various woodpeckers, and even black bears use the cavities in these oaks for their homes. Acorns are a primary food source for mule deer, rodents, mountain quail, woodpeckers, and stellar jays. If you're not familiar, stellar jays kind of look like blue jays, except they're mostly dark blue to black. I'm betting you can appreciate that all creatures benefit from the shade, especially in the summer.
Damn, dude. You're on the side of the road.
After World War I, more and more visitors traveled up to the giant forest. This was only the beginning of major building projects in Sequoia National Park. we're careening down the side of this mountain. No, driver, you're doing fine. Just, no, keep your hands on the wheel. Thank you. Keep your hands on the wheel. But you can see how much elevation change there is at Sequoia Kings Canyon, can't you? The lowest elevation here is about 1,300 feet above sea level, down at the middle fork of the Sequoia River below park headquarters. But the highest elevation here, 14,505 feet at the summit of Mount Whitney. That means these parks have an elevation range of about 13,000 feet. Now, our drive has only taken us to about 7,000 feet on the General's Highway, and that is still plenty of variation. And within the parks, there's 800 miles of trails, much of which crisscrosses the high country and gives hikers more and observe the differences that elevation change can bring during our visit. If you're interested in archaeology and anthropology, we definitely have to stop at Hospital Rock. People of the Western Mono tribe, also called the Monachi, settled in these foothills as early as 800 years ago. The Western Mono people were hunters and gatherers whose primary staple food was acorns that they ground into acorn flour. Yeah, these folks were pretty hardy. Their primary trading partners were the Eastern Mono and other tribes to the east of the Sierra Crest, meaning that the Mono people hiked over the high passes that separated them from their trading partners. I tell you, they must have had strong legs and some really good stuff to trade. If we stop at Hospital Rock, and I think we really should, after a very short walk, you'll see pictographs, a waterfall, and a whole lot of really intriguing holes in granitic outcrops. These holes are called bedrock mortars, and this is where the Mono people ground acorns into acorn flour. When the first Europeans came to this area, the Hospital Rock settlement was home to about 500 members of the Potwisha Band. They called this place Podin, which translates to place to go through. And indeed, neighboring tribes and mining district. Environmental activists were appalled. First, a little bit of background on the Mineral King district. Silver was discovered in the Mineral King area in 1872. And within a year of the discovery, a boom town of 3,000 people sprang up, connected to the town of Three Rivers by a primitive wagon road. Boom turned to bust when disappointing returns from the mines were compounded with a series of destructive avalanches, and the town was largely abandoned by 1882. What was left of the town was completely destroyed by an avalanche triggered by the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. When Sequoia National Park was established in 1890, it wrapped around but did not incorporate the mining area by design. At that point, the federal government wanted to preserve potentially economically useful lands under the U.S. Forest Service control. In the mid-1960s, the Mineral King Valley had only 33 campsites and a handful of summer cabins, attracting around 24,000 summer visitors each year. When Disney proposed the ski resort idea at first, the plan consisted of 14 chairlifts and a few hotels with parking lots. The final proposal called for 27 lifts, extensive support infrastructure including water storage, wastewater treatment, parking for 3,600 cars, and facilities for 2 million visitors per year. The Sierra Club led the fight against the final plan. Ultimately, Mineral King Valley was annexed into Sequoia National Park in 1978 by an act of Congress. That legislation put an end to any plans of a ski resort at Mineral King. You can still drive into the scenic Mineral King mining district. though honestly it's not on my list of must-dos. If you are interested, however, the Mineral King Road is a winding gravel road that starts just a couple miles north of Three Rivers and then heads up the East Fork of the Sequoia River for 25 miles. Down here at about 1,500 feet above sea level, we're driving through what's called the Chaparral Biome. The Chaparral Biome, also called the Mediterranean Biome, occurs wherever summers are hot and dry and winters are mild and rainy, like right here in the California foothills, but also in Spain and Portugal and other areas around the world. With hot, dry summers, the soils are dry for most of the year, especially when temperatures are highest. These are tough conditions for a lot of plants, and the result is a woodland dominated by short, hardy plants rather than grass. Soils and frequent fires helps to prevent larger trees from moving into the chaparral. But if you look closely, you'll see that the type of plants changes where there's a little bit more water, like along streams and springs. The tall trees with whitish bark are sycamores, and some of the taller trees include oaks and willows that require extra water. These taller trees and lusher areas are oases that help a large number of plants, birds, and other animals to thrive in this harsh environment. Also referred to locally as the foothills ecosystem, the Chaparral Biome supports a surprising variety of animals. You'll find gray fox and bobcats, even some rattlesnakes. Top predators like the mountain lions or wolverines are reclusive, and you're very unlikely to see them. The best chance to see predators is the same time as their prey are most active. Usually that's around sunrise and sunset. As we've been driving down from Hospital Rock, we've been following the path of the Sequoia River. Have you noticed just how incredibly large the boulders are in the river channel? That raises several questions. Do you think the river is actively moving boulders that large right now? If not, how did those big rocks get into the channel? The big picture story is that the boulders are there because the Sierra Nevada was recently uplifted. No, not by me encouraging it to just keep being its best Sierra Nevada self. I mean recently as in geological time, of course. That led to steep and rugged terrain that exposes granitic rocks, which then erode by breaking into big blocks, which then tumble down the hill slopes. I think you can easily imagine that at least some of these boulders just rolled down the hills until they reached this channel. And the river seems far too wimpy to move those giant rocks, doesn't it? But could the river have had more water in the past? Absolutely. The mountains of the High Sierra have had many cycles of glaciers over the last 2.5 million years. When those glaciers melt, they release huge amounts of water, swelling rivers and allowing at least some of those boulders to be pushed along by the flow.